I want a good boys, Bill and Chris on the internet one day. Chris said to Neil, let's make a podcast, boy. Come on now, what do you think? Well, what will this podcast be about? Said Neil with a tear in his eye. We got stories that people tell each other from Louisiana Pie to the city of Mumbai. Oh, you mean urban legends. And the podcast was Urban Legends with Bill and Chris. You take care, y'all.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legend, the podcast about urban legends, myths, ghosts, killer robots, cyborgs, slime beasts, batfink, all kinds of shit.
Vortexes, ley lines, don't forget those.
Ley lines, vortexes, yeah, absolutely. So that's about all kinds of shit, really. You know, we don't like to get pinned down on anything in particular.
Parallel universes. As we're learning, do anything parallel universe, can't you?
Exactly. You can stick that
quite
in
handy,
there.
bringing back those people you killed off 5 minutes ago in that movie.
I am a man whose wardrobe only contains clothes which have either been acid washed or tie-dyed. Chris Flynn, and that other cheeky voice you could hear is a man who is attempting immortality by having his personality downloaded onto a 125 gigabyte flash drive. It's Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Hi, Neil. How you doing? How's your pseudoscience going on downloading your personality onto that flash
It's going
drive?
fine, to be honest with you. I mean, we actually figured out I don't need that full capacity.
1.25 gig?
No. I mean, actually, there's quite a lot of room left on the old floppy disks.
You're going to stick like Sim City on there as well or something?
Kilobytes. Yeah, I might just, shove a few games or something.
So
technically it's smaller than like a 2-page Word file. 2 kilobytes. Makes up my personality, apparently.
Well, I mean, that's good, isn't it? I mean,
that's good.
It's very binary.
Exactly, yeah. Nice and rationalised. Don't confuse and nuance, do you?
No, don't want nuance. That's
tedious.
Gone now. Yeah. That's
just parrot a set of opinions you've read somewhere else.
So, what's the process like? Do they plug anything into your head, or is it simply a kind of questionnaire that you fill in, like one of those ones that tells you which Smurf you are?
Well, you know that mad scientist I'm always hanging around with, Chris.
Billy.
You know, yeah, the one who's collecting plutonium from Libyan terrorists.
Billy the drink.
Yeah, Billy the drink.
Right.
Some would say mad alcoholic, but yeah, fair enough. No, I think eccentric genius in my opinion.
That's fair enough.
He's invented a way to so he just sort of involves a lot of electrodes in places where you don't necessarily want to have things stuck. And
all right, so not the anus then.
Oh no.
No, that's the primary place you want things stuck.
Well, you'd think that would be the sort of seat of emotion, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I often cry when I'm on the toilet. I don't know about you.
Depends what you've been eating the night before. But yeah.
And so, what's he plugged that into his Atari ST or something?
Yeah, plugged it into his Atari ST
with its reel-to-reel attached.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just well, you want to get a bit of wow and flutter in the sort of the personality as well. Don't want to have too accurate a facsimile.
No, is it true that
that's more interesting?
Is it true that he's filling in some of the gaps in your personality with code from the hit computer game Leisure Suite Larry?
Well, I mean, they found that was probably the closest match anyway, so that's it was 85% there.
Yeah, where it's not downloaded properly, just whacking a bit of Leisure Suite Larry.
Exactly. It's kind of like, how you do an MP3.
Is that why you're currently in a hot tub?
Yeah, that may be.
Is that some feedback coming back from the
Spanish fly in my tuck pocket of my Leisure Suite? I never played the original of those games. It wasn't particularly
I don't think I played any of them.
It wasn't particularly good.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Point and click, wasn't it?
Yeah. The first one, actually, no, it was text.
First-person shooter.
Very violent. I would get on a storm these days. The Proud Boys would be all over it.
Well, no, didn't Leisure Suite Larry masturbate?
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so he's actually...
Oh, they'd be furious, they wouldn't they?
Absolutely. So
he's number one enemy. Captain America shield or Punisher logo or something. What a looking angrily in the mirror.
Yeah, put an elastic band around your testicles.
Yeah. It's what Vikings do, isn't it? It's what Thor would do.
Go and fire a gun in the air.
Yeah. Well, go fire too.
All healthy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so, I mean, that's good. I'm going to wait and see how it turns out for you. But I wouldn't mind a bit of immortality. So
I've got to talk to you about what you're wearing, though, Chris.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Don't mind if I do, sir.
Double denim? Double acid wash tie-dye denim, really?
Well, I've got a acid wash denim vest on, as you can see, with a tie-dye denim T-shirt and tie-dye and acid wash white denim jeans. I think it's quite a smart look. A pair of denim sandals, acid washed, denim socks, denim thong.
You look like you're satirising brass. I'm not sure. Is this like an 80s look or a 60s look?
I think it's a look for all seasons, to be honest. I mean, I love the tie-dye factor, because it's got all the different colours and, wheels within wheels. I think it's good. I think it's a hit look for a new generation.
Yeah, it's going to come back in style.
It's already in style, Neil. Look, I'm wearing it. With my little brass buttons.
Oh, yes. Have you ever met Wavy Gravy?
Have I ever met Wavy Gravy?
Yeah. You not heard of Wavy Gravy?
No, what's this?
He was a good guy. He's a big guitar. I think he was. I'm not into. Well, he's just one of those people who's famous for just. It's a bit like you've heard the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine, and I don't know here, so somebody will probably correct me. But
no, they won't.
Yeah. Give a shit about any of this. I'd imagine he'd be like the Bez, like the version of Bez from them. But he wasn't on stage and really affiliated, but he hung out a lot, like Grateful. I'd imagine he's just somebody who's famous for wearing a lot of tie-dye t-shirts and smoking weed.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He sounds all right.
Yeah, he's just supposed to be quite a friendly guy. I don't know if he's like a poet or something, but he just like went to a lot of Grateful Dead gigs and was a bit of a scene around San Francisco in the 60s. I understand it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he sounds good.
I've used his name and just realised I don't really know anything about him. But yeah, just, as so often I invoke something and then fall apart, then immediately trying to remember what.
Would you
I've vaguely heard about.
Would you like some Mr. T news?
Of course, I'd like some Mr. T news.
Because I knew with Mr. T that he'd stopped wearing his gold because he went to go and help out after Hurricane Katrina, and he saw people's lives had been destroyed, and was like, "It's not. I can't wear jewelry and stuff like this. Is horrible." Yeah, and also he's very religious. Yeah. But do you know how he got all the golds?
Well, I've heard. Well, I may have heard this wrong, but wasn't he a bouncer and then he would confiscate it or something? No,
he wouldn't confiscate it. He would fight like it was lost and found stuff. And basically he would wear it because then people come up and go, "Oh, that was mine. I was in here the other night." And he'd go, "Yeah, fair enough." But loads of people obviously didn't come back and he just ended up getting this massive collection of jewellery.
I'm massively surprised people didn't just go, "Yeah, no, that one was mine."
I imagine that he probably had some kind of checklist they had to go through. But also, to be honest, that although he's a very nice person, they didn't know that, and he's probably quite an intimidating character to go up to and go, "That's mine, I'll have it back." Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so he didn't actually buy it. It was possession's 9/10 of the law kind of thing. Should have handed it into a police station, really, if he was that nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Then if no one collects it within 90 days, then you can petition the court or something to have it handed over to you. Like, if you find money, you're meant to hand it in.
Yeah, well, I think if you found a significant amount, you probably would, because you don't know.
I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I found a wallet with about 600 quid in it, and that had like the guy's address in and stuff. So, because this was before the internet, and I managed to get hold of him, and he turned up and I went, "Oh, there you go." He went, "Cheers," and just went off. Didn't give me like a tenner or anything, for being honest. You kind of
choose its own rewards. Yeah, they say, Chris. It's a lie, obviously. No, it would have been nice to at least give you some recognition. But
yeah, well,
there you
go. Learn that lesson the hard way.
You wouldn't even give back the wallet now, would you?
No, I'd look at his address and go, "He's got a bit of money," and I'd go in and do an aggravated robbery.
Very much like Funny Games, but more harrowing.
Yeah, much more harrowing. You're paying for the man who didn't give me a little reward for giving him 600 quid back. And that's when that was a lot of money, Neil.
Yeah. It's nothing
now.
these days,
What to get you now? A pint of milk?
Inflation going through the roof. I don't know. Maybe get some mints as well.
Get some mints, yeah.
Pound ain't worth nothing these days.
It was like when I was in Turkey, and because they've got hyperinflation, coins mean nothing there. They just disappear in your hand like mist.
I think we're heading that way with, Captain Truss set to take over the reins.
Be good.
The Starship Britannia falling over the cliff.
Going straight into a black hole.
Straight into a fucking hole. This is the right direction. I'm confident. Let's not talk about politics. It's start really
not today. So, Neil, I believe today we're looking at a character from the America.
Guatemala, specifically. So I believe
Central
it's,
America.
From around a similar region where came from.
CIA playgrounds, Guatemala.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We'll leave the CIA ones for another week. Yeah, so I was just going to start out by, because I think I'm going to take the story from a chap called J.M. Plumby's blog.
Plumby?
J.M. Plumbley.
J.M. Plumbley.
Yeah, he does sound like a kind of like G.K. Chesterton character. But anyway, so he's written a little monster blog, and so a description rather than just as what we usually do is just read out the Wikipedia summary.
Don't patronise him.
Got
a little monster blog.
Yeah, it's perfectly good. I've only read this story, but I thought it was quite well written, so I thought I'd just introduce him a little bit. So
look him
that's
up.
what it says in his blog.
If you like monsters and you like reading.
If you're as bored as I am with well-worn horror mythology, looking at you, vampires and werewolves, this is the blog for you. Each post covers a creature haunting your place you have or have not heard of. The weirder, the better. 81 different monsters since 2015, Chris. So there you go.
Yeah, it's not very impressive.
Well, no, but I might rip off a few of these. So
it's a useful resource for us.
Yeah. Hey, he's done the work.
Yeah, we'll punch it up a bit.
Yeah, in an invisible fashion. By effectively just reading it out and then commenting on. So that's good. We'll skip around as per a few other places, but I think this was probably one of the more reasonable summaries of the legend.
And what's the legend called?
So this is El Sombreron.
El Sombreron, the Spanish-speaking Mexican hat transformer.
Probably, yeah. I've not kept up with those transformer movies. Almost certainly there is something. Yeah, there'd be an El Sombreron or a.
We're stuck in
along with El Taco and
we're stuck in the desert, Optimus. We're not going to survive. Look, it's El Sombreron. Shade. Ay.
I'm a talking hat that you can wear, Optimus. John is strong with this one.
Don't start on the Transformer movies.
Sort of a crap anyway. It was crap anyway when it was a toy advert, but oh god. Anyway, yeah, that's not.
They were expensive, so the only sort of Transformers I ever got were from like second-hand shops and car boot sales. Normally a bit broken.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like a value part of my childhood or whatever. But I don't know what I'm expecting from Michael Bay and Transformers. But there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
It's just amazing to me that even 3-hour film out of these things. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Okay, so let's move on to his story then. So, one of the most interesting things about monster stories is what they can teach you about life. The legend of El Sombreron is no exception.
Oh.
There you go. You're going to learn something today, Chris.
That's good. I need a bit of learning.
Yeah.
Need a bit of book smarts.
I need a bit of education.
Yeah, education. Ooh. That's what I get from the Chans.
Is it?
Yeah, education.
Probably dial down your challenge, to be honest with you.
Just because I've become an incel, what's your problem? Yeah. I'm genetically inferior. I'm trying to get hold of a gun.
Why did you get that Pepe the Frog tattooed on your forehead? To own the libs, wasn't it?
Yeah, tying the libs because he's hilarious. Yeah. And I ironically got MAGA tattooed on my chin. and also ironically a Q, but over my eye, like a monocle.
Yeah,
super irony, man.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it was what's that guy? Was it QAnon shaman or something? And he's kind of like finally sort of woken up and realised it was all bullshit. I can't remember something.
Oh, was this the guy who just wore a furry hat and attacked the Capitol? Yeah, he wasn't really a shaman. He just wore a furry hat.
Like, yeah, stupid hat. Yeah, talking of stupid hats. This Guatemalan bogeyman appears in Tailspin. Well, he's not going to be. I'll tell you, he's not a very nice character. It turns out in the end.
Oh dear.
Appears in Tailspin much of the country's history and remains important even now. Though he used to appear more frequently, these days he comes chiefly on nights with a full moon, such as the night that he's posting this. Mm-hmm. Look out your window, dear reader, and then shut it tight.
Does he assume that people read stuff as he writes it?
Apparently, he thinks all of this is happening in real time. He's just adding a bit of flavours now. I think that's good. A bit of colour to his.
As long as he doesn't start telling me what people who he's never met were thinking at a particular time, then I'm fine with it.
We'll see.
It's my bugbear of writers.
Oh yeah, it's not like we take any liberties with the stories, is it?
Absolutely not.
Though he might announce his presence with dark, baying dogs or the jingling of spurs on his black boots, El Sombreron can also appear without warning from out of a shadow. Some say he's preceded by a swift, cold breeze. But his most distinctive features are his eponymous hat, so wide it obscures his face,
like
short stature. Yeah, like Orko.
He's basically Orko.
Less of an annoying, stupid voice. Well, he could be Orko, actually, because he's got quite a short stature, apparently. He's got a massive hat. There's nothing about a screechy, annoying voice. So that's so far so un-Orko, but we don't know.
Orko very famously kept dogs for dog fighting. So I mean that could could match up with. I mean, you wouldn't know that unless you read the comics. But
and it was one for the ladies.
He-Man.
Well, let's face it, He-Man wasn't too bothered about that, was he?
No, He-Man turned a blind eye. He was like, well, because He-Man was into bear baiting, of course, being a sort of space medieval prince.
Well, he had so many steroids going on, he didn't know what. He had no interest in anything else, did he? Just flexing, get bigger and bigger.
It's just water. You just put in water in the muscle.
Talking of shit, toy selling cartoons from the 80s.
You buy more toys, have you?
No, I can't imagine that. It's like, we know you get now people who are sort of like in their 40s or something, and they'll just go and relive their childhood by buying stuff when they were a kid on eBay. Yeah. No, I don't. I think that's the thing. Once you've started that would be you've crossed a path, and there's no.
Yeah, I'm not really a collector of things.
No,
apart from sort of bad memories.
But for me, that kind of behaviour is just a very elaborate suicide note.
No, fair enough. If people like it, people like it.
No, if you enjoy, do.
But I'm not really,
I'm not homoerotic. Enjoy it.
Collecting stuff. I was trying to think about collecting. Like, should I collect something? Like, would that give my life more meaning? And I thought, let's just have more stuff in it.
It just reminds me of. Do you know Charlie Brooker did TV Go Home and all that back in the day?
Yeah,
and he had a site called Innovations as well.
Right.
And it was like, did you remember the Innovations catalogue? So used to have this thing, and they used to come in with papers, and it'd just be full of all of this absolute shite and stuff. Just really stupid gadgets that are like overpriced. And then there's one of them, and it was just kind of like a collection of Garys. And it was just like and Gary, so plastic things like they cost £50 a piece. There's absolutely no way we can justify the markup, but you need something in your life. So like a suite of Garys or something like that. Yeah. And it really took the tone of this, because you'll see them still on the back of some of the Sunday newspapers. Some of the
like the Bunnykins collection, which I'm obsessed by.
Yeah, or some really realistic looking porcelain child. And this, again, that bespeaks some sort of tragedy. I mean, if you like collecting those, then I'm so sorry. It's just,
or collecting coins. I guess. I mean, it could be interesting. I think the thing
like
with
stamps and coins to an extent, like I don't know,
like they're
compact and you could flog them off, couldn't you? But when you're paying like 600 quid for a porcelain child, it's like, I mean, it's a short. I imagine it's quite a short word where you're going to start. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you start wheeling it around in a pram and stuff, aren't you? I don't know. I just feel like
porcelain pram.
Yeah,
for your porcelain town. Yeah. Which you've set up in a field somewhere.
Well, that sounds like... I've not seen it, but there's a movie called Marwen. There was that guy who got attacked or something and then set up like a whole town full of people, like little dull people.
No, never heard of it.
Yeah. There's a real-life person, but I can't remember. It was like that was some way of trying to cope with trauma. Anyway.
Right.
I shan't get into it because I'll get myself in trouble. With my dumb opinions. Right, okay, anyway, we're talking about El Sombreron, so I'll try and keep them vaguely on track. So I think he's just emerged from a full moon, hasn't he, at the moment? It can be preceded by a swift cold breeze.
Yeah.
Wears a big hat.
Yeah.
Not Orko as far as we know, but might be. I don't remember Orko ever playing guitar, so this guy does.
Oh, does he? He sounds quite cool.
Well, he does at the moment, yeah. He's got quite a good vibe going on, I think.
Got his spurs on, got a couple of dogs, guitar, nice big hat.
Shoes, yeah.
It's a bit like Raylan Givens at the moment, but short.
And with less anger issues, yeah.
New series of that coming out soon.
I'm hearing that, yeah. I'm all about that. I don't know what they're going to do. I presume it won't have Boyd Crowder coming back. There's not much point revisiting that story, but mind you, I'm up for a helping of what's his face,
Waylon Goggins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
I mean, they're all great in that, to be fair. But although Nick Searcy apparently turns out a right MAGA prick. The guy who played his boss.
All right.
Yeah, he was another one who's just owning all the libs online and whatnot. But yeah, good actor though. He was good. Enjoyed him in the series. So whatever. You think what you like. Anyway, so like many monsters, he dresses all up in black and speaks to no one. Invisible. We're turning into a poltergeist here.
I quite fancy him. Is that wrong?
Well, you wait until he starts doing some charming stuff. Because he's knocking over cups, candles, sending horses galloping through the streets.
Like Mr. Blobby.
Yeah. Oh, no,
just chaos. Just coming in and knocking over cups.
And he never knocked over Nolly, did he? Why not? He never knocked over Noel Edmonds.
He's very litigious.
Well, why couldn't he accidentally knock him into a
blender?
Yeah.
Higher place.
Thank God we've moved on from Noel Edmonds.
Yeah, he's over in New Zealand, isn't he?
Has he gone to New Zealand?
Yeah, because he used his money to get one of those New Zealand compounds, like all the tech billionaires, and he's doing radio over there now.
Has he sealed himself up with a load of guns, like in that Brass Eye episode?
I think it's pretty close to that.
In someone's head over the gates or something, whatever that was. It sounds a bit like that. I think he'd probably, I'm not saying he would do this or has done this, but I could imagine him becoming like a cult leader or something like that. And the cult would just be about worshipping him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cult of one at the moment, but,
Well, I mean, he kind of...
get the numbers up, I'm sure.
He's given the impression that he kind of feels that way because he was sort of the king of live TV in the UK for about 15, 20 years, like from the early 80s to like the mid-90s, and who kind of would just rule the roost and go, I'm Noel Edmonds, this is what we're doing, kind of thing, rather than... Yeah. And
had a very successful career as a DJ before that, so, you've been...
Jungle DJ, wasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, massive tunes.
Yeah, big.
Unbelievable energy.
Yeah, not drum and bass, that came later.
No. That's very derivative of,
Yeah, junglist mashups.
Yes, exactly. What time to be alive. Okay, so, he's, knocking stuff over, blah, blah, blah. He braids horses and dogs' hair so delicately the patterns have to be left forever or cut out.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So, beneath the white light of the moon, he runs from town to town, accompanied by mules, dogs, and a cart full of coal.
Nice.
Not sure what the coal's for, but there you go. Fair enough.
Or fires.
Well, yeah, you might get cold, mightn't you? Does he sound more like an average poltergeist than a serious problem? For some families, he is. Other children will be unlucky enough to find his mules hitched outside of their home. These are the families with long-haired, beautiful daughters, and this is where the trouble really begins. So he's got a type, Chris. Long hair and big eyes. And
beauty. Yeah. It's very unusual in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
What weird. Well, I like his calling cards of, hey, I quite fancy your daughter. Right. I'm going to hitch up my mules out here just so you know, I'm into her.
No wagon at all.
Do you want some coal for your daughter?
So he's going to pull out his silver guitar, walk up under the window and begin to sing in a voice only she can hear. Woe betide she who responds to his charms. The legends vary on what exactly seals her fate, whether it's hearing his song, looking at him, or letting him braid her hair.
He's very much into hair braiding, isn't he?
He's very into the hair braiding thing, yeah.
I just want to say I'm very proud of you because your hair's very long at the moment. And I'm proud of you for not getting cornrows because I know that you were thinking about it, but then you read all the stuff about it being cultural appropriation, so decided against it. And I'm proud of you for making that choice.
Yeah, well, it looks so good on Will Ferrell, but, I resisted somehow. I think that, whatever hilarious comedy, he was...
Get Hard, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that's...
I've not. It's one of those ones you can tell the hype.
I watched it in the end because I thought, do you know what? I want to see how bad it is.
I hate myself.
I want to see how bad, and it is very, very.
You just know it's going to.
Yeah, it's a weird thing with Will Ferrell because he can do really good stuff, but I mean, he will do some real shit for a paycheck.
Even the right script and director is great, but yeah, he would just do any old shit, as you say.
I think he's done more bad, like a fair amount more bad films than good.
Definitely.
Yeah,
his name is not a signifier of quality. When you get someone like Bill Murray, you'd be like, "Oh, this is probably going to be quite interesting." I may or may not like it, but it's probably going to be something that's worth watching or whatever. But a few people like that. But and then there's quite a few who just starring any old fucking tut.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yes.
Enjoying himself, paying the bills.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that the film Get Hard wouldn't get made now, even though it's fairly recent. I would hope. But who knows? Who knows? We can't...
Are you cancelling Get Hard, Chris? Is that what you're doing?
I'm cancelling the film Get Hard. I'm deplatforming it. No, I'd like to have a word in his shell, but I'm not deplatforming Will Ferrell. I think that he's got the potential to do some other good stuff, but I think that maybe, I don't know, how many houses do you need? I mean...
yeah.
And I would also question Kevin Hart as well for making the film. So
that's true. Could be worse. Could have been Black Knight.
What's that?
That's the one where I can't remember the chap's name now. Who's the guy who's the one that's not Will Smith in Bad Boys?
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, I think it's a Martin Lawrence comedy where it's a bit like King
Arthur sort of thing.
Yeah, he basically goes back in time into the medieval era and becomes
a knight.
A knight, and then fights and has wacky hijinks.
Is there loads of jokes about him being African American?
I think he's more laughing at the uptight honkies.
Oh, okay, well do you know what? Fair enough. Punching up in it really.
It's a
fuck honkies. That's what I say.
It's a poor quality comedy though, as you can imagine.
Yeah, but
I can't remember.
Honkies need to take down a peg or two.
It's one of those ones where, you kind of I think it's about an hour and a half you're out, and it just went in one ear and out the other. It really wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'm not quite sure why I watched it, but there you go. A bit like you watching Get Hard, I suppose.
We all make mistakes.
Well,
sometimes you need to wade into the shit just to remind yourself how good things are.
Yeah, you've got to sort of recalibrate the baseline.
You've got to wade into what is mainstream to realise where people's heads are at.
Well, that's the thing of these days, isn't it? Because it's just like
you're not going to get a good thing from the pulse of culture by reading On Anarchism by Noam Chomsky. Do you know what I mean? It's a good book, but you do need to have both sides of things. You got to calibrate that with sort of a Tucker Max blog or something. I don't know. I don't know the equivalent these days would be. Right, we're getting off topic.
Oh, we were off about 5 hours ago. We went off topic. We've only got him to pulling out his guitar at the moment. Anyway, so he sings a song, braid hair, etc. But don't want to get enamoured of him, or the talk's going to begin. So the braids won't come out for a start, Chris.
I mean, not too bad. Can you not just cut them out?
Well, hang on a minute. We'll come to that. Bits of dirt, and as in so many of these things, the obvious answer people don't seem to get to. Bits of dirt and rock appear in her food, discouraging the already heartsick women from eating at all.
Right.
Just throw soil onto her plate, apparently. It's a bit of a dick move, isn't it?
Yeah, replace her chops with pebbles.
Yeah.
He likes them skinny, doesn't he? He's a bit of he's sort of he's quite toxic.
He's the opposite of a feeder, whatever that is. Yeah.
A denier.
She won't sleep, won't think of anything but him, and then he'll visit her less, but she'll want him more.
Well, and if he's negging, he's ghosting her, he's gaslighting her.
He's in all the.
Oh, look, you look so thin. Oh, what? You don't like eating mud? Yeah. Well, you're too thin now. I'm not sure I'm interested.
Got things to do. Got places to be. Got coal to haul around. I'll be tied down to this backward village.
I've got mules to go and stick outside people's houses.
Braid their hair.
Yeah, I've got animal hair to braid. I'm a busy man. So
she'll then descend into madness and will die of a broken heart.
Oh.
And then apparently, this isn't in all the other versions, but apparently he'll abduct her soul to stay with him forever.
Oh, okay.
Nice, isn't it?
That's not too bad.
Although in some versions of legends, he seems upset that he kills his beloved and will visit on occasion to cry at her grave. Other times, he moves on to the next house.
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. Wasn't that bothered about that one, to be honest with you.
Nah.
Now, there is one tale in which the woman escaped the devil's lust entirely. And the story is repeated often. So he once targeted a young Susanna on La Recollection, a cobblestone mission in the mountains of Guatemala. Alarmed at her declining health and strange signs in her home, her parents took her to be blessed by a priest and cut her hair as short as it would go.
And the Sinead O'Connor.
Yep. And he got bored after that and moved on.
Oh, God, you haven't even got anything to braid.
Big eyes ain't doing it for El Sombrero, he said. And got his meal.
Moving on.
Yeah. Taking my coal elsewhere. So he's got an interesting theory here that isn't in the other sort of representation of the story. So, where he came from. So there's a story about a Mayan family who sought to correct their errant son's behaviour with the help of a brujo, or medicine man. The brujo told them to make as big of a hat as possible. So, if your kid's unruly, just give him a massive hat. I'll sort him out.
They can't run around then.
So they did, and then he infused it with magic.
Who did? The
brujo.
Brujo,
or however you pronounce that. They left the hat in the house, though, and awoke one night to find their son struggling under it. They couldn't take the hat off. And then all the townspeople started taking the piss out of him. I'm paraphrasing the blog now, obviously.
Nice hat, dickhead.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll grow into it one day. Pipsqueak.
And he grew no taller as he aged, but he did grow more frightening. Using the magic from the hat, he learned to turn invisible, scale walls, and walk across ceilings, causing even more mischief than before.
Was it a radioactive hat?
Possibly. It was, sentient hat.
So the hat...
It's a good origin story, isn't it?
It's not bad. I mean, I've heard worse, to be honest.
Isn't it? Yeah. Bit of a radioactive spider.
Yeah, a magic hat.
Yeah.
It's basically Moon Knight, isn't it?
It's good. So there you go. It doesn't mention anything, but you can imagine him reaching a certain age, deciding to use magic to get what he wants.
Yeah, we all do that. That's why I'm, still spending half my wages on gifts for Robert the Doll.
Yes. How's that working out for you?
Slow. Yeah. At the moment, I'm not seeing any immediate returns. But
having invested all of that money, you wouldn't want to lose it, would you? So probably wise to invest.
Double down, yeah. Double down.
That's why your cryptocurrency strategy is still, just diving into this.
Exactly.
The thing about pyramid selling, Chris, you just got to have the will to make more people below you believe in the bullshit, and then you'll reap the dividends.
Well, and as we know, I'm incredibly wily when it comes to tricking people into believing in nonsense. Yeah. So I'm always going to, as we say, all high tide raises all ships. That's what I tell them. Yeah. So if I'm doing well, you're doing well.
Oh, unfortunately, even Elon Musk has got out of the cryptocurrency game these days.
Yeah, nice to see that his dad's married his
stepdaughter.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Nice family.
It's something. I'm not sure good is what it is, but it's something.
Yeah, it's good family.
I didn't really like it. I just kind of like saw the headline and just rolled my eyes back in my fucking skull and went,
makes sense. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, good to see Earth's one true champion.
Favour of the human race.
Favour of the human race managed to lose half of the money he invested in cryptocurrency because somehow, despite being the world's greatest genius, he couldn't see that that's exactly what was going to happen with cryptocurrency. whereas two hobos like us could see that in my life.
Well, yeah, but
the thing is, he reinvested it in lazy apes. So
they'll be paying off any day now. Don't you worry about it.
Fucking prick.
I mean, the thing is, he probably just still made a bit of money out of it. But the thing is, because he can effectively kind of like game the market by making these pronouncements, and all these idiots then buy into it. Yeah, so if he'd sold at the high, you'd have an almost grudging respect for him. Well, not respect, but but
it would make sense, yeah. Because you big something up, then all your fanboys buy it,
pumping stocks,
and then you artificially inflate the market, get them all to buy it. Stock goes up, sell, it crashes, they lose their money. Fuck them. Yeah. I'm Elon Musk, but no, not even that clever.
There we go. And apparently the obsession with long hair and braids could suggest mine origin. Or Mayan origin as well.
Okay.
So so it could come from Mayan origins. So there you go. But interesting thought, and one that's more colourful than simple explanations. Class them as a devil or a goblin.
I know people in Peru wear, or people in the Andes wear those big hats, but Guatemala's much further north, isn't it? So I wonder what kind of hat he's wearing.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I've been to Colombia and they've got some. It's not like a huge hat, but they all have some sort of kind of. There's quite a lot of tradition of some straw hat, or woven hat. But obviously large brim. It's just going to keep the sun out of your eyes and keep you a bit cooler. So there's a lot of them have those kind of traditional things. So it sounds like as well that there's the idea of this legend is it's almost like a bit of a kind of Grimm's fairy tale. I think
unsurprisingly, because it's right next to it, the kind of traditional Guatemalan hat is like a Panama hat.
Oh, okay, yeah,
which makes sense because it's next to Panama.
Yeah,
so it's that kind of thing. So pretty cool.
Yeah, quite a lot of them look like that. It's going to say it's that kind of peak and then a wide brim. And the Colombian one, what's really interesting is there's like a circular pattern, so it's like. These different kind of coloured strips of straw.
It's a shame it wasn't a really massive top hat or a bowler hat. That would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Bowler hat would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. Bowler hat, of course, is British. Actually, apparently, most cowboys wore bowler hats.
They call them derby hats, don't they, in America?
Yeah. Well, because originally it was for horse riders. They like all of those kind of like servants and whatnot used to have to wear top hats, but then they get them they brain themselves on trees. So the idea was it was much more compact against the skull, and then it's quite hard as well, so it gives you some protection.
Right. Well, that might be slightly different because people have been wearing bowler hats in sort of London for centuries, haven't they? They're not anymore, obviously, but.
Oh yeah, that was kind of like that was that cliched idea of the civil servant or the office worker who wear a bowler hat. But the origins have actually come from, as I say, it was somebody who was like riding around. Well, for pit riders, because top hats were too cool, branches or whatever, knocking over. So a bowler hat was just much more practical. It was like, generally like practical workwear back in the day. And then, apparently, like in the Wild West, most of those people would have been wearing, rather than sort of Stetson 10-gallon hats on that, they would have been wearing bowler hats apparently because it's quite practical.
Well, yeah, and it's more aerodynamic. Like a Stetson will just fly off if your horse is riding fast. You would think.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go.
There you go.
Correcting hat myths. Nobody.
24/7.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. Pretty much everything about the Wild West is made up. I mean, fuck me. There's far more. Yeah, let's not get into the depressing fact that the West is a lot wilder these days, thanks to the accumulation of automatic assault rifles and God knows what else.
Yeah.
Doc Holliday would disapprove vehemently of some of the shenanigans going on.
Yeah, but he wasn't even a real doctor.
That's true.
His name was
like
just
a nickname, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's because he really liked using dock leaves if he got stung by nettles.
Well, he wouldn't.
Exactly. He invented
nature's remedy, isn't it?
It's.
Yeah.
He had so much to teach us.
Yeah, he did. If only we'd listen to his ways. So, according to Wikipedia, culturally, the legend advises teenage girls to preserve the collective values of a society. That's quite a confusing metaphor for me.
Well, don't fall in love with some big-hatted Lothario with a silver guitar. Just, and his beautifully braided, tailed mules and big stack of coal. It's like, that's what teenage girls are into.
Well,
big stacks of coal.
Rock it up with a silver guitar and a wagon full of coal. And anyone's going to turn
I'm feeling a bit faint now.
I'm done. I'm bloody worried about it. I had to mute my microphone earlier.
Unfortunately, they left the video on.
Yeah. We'll publish that when we're really desperate.
I see it. What, on your OnlyFans?
Yeah. I've got, 20 OnlyFans.
20,000 viewers.
Yeah, cool. So J.M. Plumley sort of, I think, has a bit of a take on it. So the takeaways of the horror stories are clear. Follow your parents' orders and don't engage with strange men. And it can also teach a little bit how dangerous passion can be. If you're so obsessed with something that you find yourself overlooking rocks in your food, it might be time to dial things back a little.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we all know that heroin's lovely and Moorish, but...
yeah, there's plenty of good drugs growing around Central America. Just get into that. Then you don't want to eat the rocks. You just want more delicious heroin or cocaine.
So that's pretty much the story of El Sombreron. He's a cheeky little fella.
Has he appeared in any? Let's have a look.
I haven't seen. So not too many references. I mean, I've not seen him in an episode of Supernatural, which is always my benchmark for good times.
So in 1950, El Sombreron became the subject of an eponymous film.
Yeah, he was in one film in one
of the first films shot in Guatemala. But apart from that, he doesn't seem to be, strangely, because I think he's quite a good character.
He's got a real Zorro vibe going on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make Puss in Boots into a fucking franchise character, I think El Sombreron could definitely do something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it doesn't seem to have been as a character. Doesn't seem to have been used very much. Which seems strange.
He's got quite a good. He's got quite a good sort of set of things going on. He's got his quirky little things like his basket full of coal, or his wagon full of coal on his mules. His weird braiding fetish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't kink shame.
Likes feet. Obviously, that Quentin Tarantino. I always get them mixed up. El Sombreron and Quentin Tarantino.
It's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, then. Shall we go through our...
Open the schools and doors?
Yeah. So, Neil, spookiness.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of spooky. The idea that, you become obsessed with this thing and, you're no longer eating and it's, he's destined to disappoint you, basically, even if in some versions it's kind of like he might be upset at himself for having caused the death. He'll end up sort of letting you down and you'll pine away. And, you can imagine that'd be quite distressing if you're the parents or whatever, or, the idea of somebody coming along, especially in those sort of time periods and, ruining someone's life. It's not kind of like, werewolf spooky, but it's kind of like a different kind of spookiness. So I'm going to give this one a 6.
6. Do you think that El Sombreron could be an allegory for drugs? You know, a Just Say No character.
He could, I mean, Nancy Reagan could certainly turn into that. Yeah, it's a bit like, well, because there's a good Abel Ferrara film from the 90s, I think it was, called The Addiction, where they do vampirism as a metaphor for drug, like heroin use. So yeah, you could turn him into that kind of thing.
It's a bit sledgehammer metaphor, though, isn't it?
Pretty much. It's a good film, though. Christopher Walken in it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, the fact that he can appear in different ways. You know, either dogs kind of turn up and you're like, oh, he's coming, or he just ties a load of beautifully braided mules outside your house, or can just pop out the shadows. So that would be quite spooky if he just popped out the shadows. Yeah, and it's kind of got that mind control thing going on, hasn't he? And, you know, and it's to sort of young ladies. I mean, yeah, I mean, his means of killing isn't spooky. I mean, it's like heartbreak and stuff. I mean, it's very teenage.
Yeah, like Pine Away. Yeah, it's a bit Twilight.
Yeah, you could do a Twilight thing about this guy, I reckon.
He could be glittery.
But yeah, it's fair. I'm going to give it a 5 now. I'm going to go half marks. So, believability. So it falls down a little bit on believability. But so there's two ways of looking at it. Does this person, this El Sombreron, the hat transformer, does he exist? Probably not, but I think that it is kind of a metaphor to kind of warn young women about kind of sort of, you know, your first love, and it's like all consuming, and you know, some charming,
superficially charming, but ultimately shallow.
Yeah, person coming along. So I mean, that's believable, and that's a good lesson to learn. I think it's like, you know, when people cry when a boy band breaks up or something. It's like, come on, guys.
Oh, come on, you wet buckets when
E17
left. E17.
I did, yeah.
The fellow with the little hat.
Yeah,
Ryan Summer.
So I think
on Twinkle Toes when he passed away.
So I think the character himself, no, but the kind of cautionary tale around it's kind of believable. So I'm going to give it a 6 now.
Well, okay. I'm a bit low because yeah, like you. I mean, there's no kind of sightings really I could see, or and it's, to be fair, it's more of a legend really. So I don't think it's aiming at sort of necessarily believability. It's, you know, kind of more of a legend stroke cautionary tale. Well, I suppose you do have the tale of Susanna, stuff like that. So I suppose you could technically count that as one sighting. But yeah, I'm not saying it's hugely believable. But yeah, I think, as you say, there's, you know, but there's nothing insanely outlandish in it, I suppose. So yeah, I'll give it a 5.
5. Reach, Neil. Hit me with it.
Yeah, I don't think this one's got huge reach, to be honest with you. It's been around. I mean, I'm not quite sure the actual time period. If you're going back to possibly Mayan roots, it's, you know, good 500-600 years. So, you know, it feels like it's been around for quite a lot of time in terms of posterity. But it doesn't really feel like one that's sort of translated or, you know, gone much past its roots. And obviously with the internet now, a lot of these things get collected, which is good. And you can imagine it's quite an interesting, fun little story. But yeah, I don't think it's probably got, you've got to go looking for it. I think it's not one that would sort of fall into your lap. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, so I don't know how well it's known outside of Guatemala, really. And I think it's probably known pretty well because it's one of their kind of folk tales within Guatemala, but it doesn't seem to have travelled very far, which is kind of surprising because I think there's a lot you can do with that character. And I think it's, you know, well, I'll come on to that with narrative premise, really. Yeah, I mean, it's probably been around for, you know, 600 years or whatever, something like that, 500-600 years. So really, its main reaches through time, and it's still being talked about now. So I think I'm going to have to go same with you, Neil, and go 3. So narrative premise. So I think this is quite strong premise narrative. He's got lots of ways that he turns up, as discussed. It's got so there's the story about how he ended up he was unruly, and then he got a magic hat, and everyone took the piss out of him. And then that turned him to the being a shit. I like the silver guitar. I presume that must have been entered in later, because how long have they had guitars in? Full stop, really.
I mean, they were originally come from Spain, but they would have had. And I mean, you're talking about like lutes, aren't you? Going back to about the 15th century, and then guitar. They've got quite an antiquity, actually. I think you're going back to the 16th century or something like that for the original guitars.
But I mean, so I think that it's kind of been embellished as it's gone on to like a silver guitar. So I think that's quite cool that the story's still kind of growing a little bit. The premise kind of, young love and all that kind of stuff. It's been used before, but it's a good one because we've all been through it. The narrative's pretty decent. He either feels sad, doesn't give a shit, or just moves on. Like, he's kind of like a proper shed. So I think it's pretty good. And I think it's something which, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more stories around this character. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen, which is not very well known. So for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8. Neil?
Yeah, I quite like the narrative process one as well. I think there's quite a lot you could pick into. I think you could easily do a 3-part series or a three series on Disney Plus with Danny DeVito as the character. A massive app. I'd like to see that. I think again, he's got that whole kind of vibe. He's quite dandy. He's got some sort of interesting quirks. Silver guitar. And as you say, there's kind of like there's different takes on whether or not he sort of like regrets his actions or whether he's more like a little goblin fella. Or
just like one of those blokes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Awesome. I think I'm going to tend to agree on this one. I think I'll give it an 8 as well.
So that gives us an overall Urbane score of 44. So not too bad, slightly above the bell curve. Really, what's let it down is that not more people know about it, and hopefully we're helping with that, because I'm wanting to get behind it. Neil, don't know about you.
Hopefully, off the bat, the massive reach of our podcast, we'll be able to give this one a fillip.
Huge.
Let's get it on Supernatural. Maybe have a word with the lads at Supernatural first. Get it on there.
Is it still going?
Just revive it for a new series.
Yeah, we'll just revive
Legends Adventures of Supernatural.
They're reviving everything now, aren't they? Yeah. Call it Supernatural.
Just get us to be in it. We'll just like do some green screen or flats.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll do it.
Yeah, just nice and cheap.
Yeah.
Supernatural BBC or Supernatural UK or something.
Supernatural Redemption. Yeah. Call it.
It's just us basically over Zoom doing like do you hear about this?
No, I didn't. No, I haven't heard about it. Is it any good? No, not really.
No, not really.
Okay, fair enough. You looking for any ghosts later? Nah, I've got work tomorrow. Okay.
Bit tired.
Yeah.
Can't be bothered.
Right. Cool, yeah. So if you know of any kind of smaller legends that you'd like us to have a look at, then do get in touch. .legends.podcast@gmail.com. I know you won't. But beyond that, hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you around next week. Goodbye.
I'm trying to think what the Spanish Buenas noches or Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
I think you did that the other day actually with La Llorona, but there you go.
Yeah. All right. Buenos dias.
Au revoir.